everyone, and welcome back. And in today's episode, we are going to be taking a look at the legendary Renegade stance, Kala Scorchrazor, the Revenant Elite spec. And I must say, she's been really fun to play with. The condition damage aspect goes really well with Malik's, so I'm very glad that they introduced Kala, especially because it is condition damage. So we'll just jump right in because it's a lot to cover. We'll go over the weapons, sigils, amulets, and runes, and then move on to the specs and a little bit of description for the utility skills. So for my weapons, I'm taking shortbow, obviously, and mace and axe for extra condition damage if someone gets up in my face. For my sigils, I'm taking Sigil of Agony and Misery for the shortbow, and Misery and Smoldering for the mace and axe. For the rune, I am taking a Rune of the Crate for increased bleeding duration, and there is quite a decent amount of bleeding on the shortbow, especially with the auto attack. And I'm also taking a Viper's Amulet for increased flat power and condition damage. This is very squishy, or this leaves you very squishy in PvP, but there are some ways to mitigate damage with Kala and Jalis if you decide to take Jalis. And the I forgot what was Retribution trait line, but in this build I'm not taking Retribution. This is also a little bit more PvE oriented, like looking through the lens of a PvE player. But of course I had to accommodate it for PvP, so there are some changes. And again, like these are really early, so anything's up to scrutiny and can be changed when time goes on. So let's just jump right in. I'll leave this up because I might refer to it when I'm explaining a couple of the weapons and traits and utility skills. So moving on to the specializations, I'm taking Devastation, Invocation, and the Renegade. I actually really enjoy the Renegade. I've enjoyed the Renegade and the Deadeye more than I thought I have, and the Deadeye will be coming up. So for Devastation, I'm taking Jade Echo. This is primarily a PvP trait, just to get a little bit more survivability if you are downed. And Assassin's Presence. This is both a PvP and a PvE trait. These are both standards for supporting allies and giving them more ferocity. And for the final Grandmaster, I'm taking Assassin's Annihilation. I'd like to mention that this trait goes really well with this second shortbow skill, Bloodbane Path, because it fires arrows into the mists, and the arrows will reappear and strike the enemy from various angles. So you'll get some more siphoning from that skill. With Invocation, I'm taking Fierce Infusion for Fury, Incensed Response for extra might when you gain Fury, and Roiling Mists. English. This allows you to have an increased critical hit chance, and with this build you might notice that there is a lot of critical strikes going on. And also with one of the adepts, the miners, you get Invoker's Rage, and you'll gain Fury when you swap to a legend, and Fury is also part of the Renegade in their traits. So for the Renegade, we have Ambush Commander, which gives you access to Kala Scorchrazor and gives you the Kala's Fervor mechanic. Next, I'm taking Blood Fury for increased condition damage, and gaining Fury will inspire you with Kala's Fervor. For the Miner, you get Endless Enmity, and this gives you Fury when you critically strike a foe below the health threshold. And you're getting Fury, you're getting increased critical strike from Fury, so if you can maintain your Fury, you'll get increased critical strike, and you can basically have almost permanent Fury uptime. This is only 6 seconds of Fury, but if you have other applications of Fury from allies, you can see a lot of use out of this. Next, I'm taking Heart Piercer. Shortbow skill is now Pierce, and bleeding you inflict deals more damage. Again, playing in with the Rune of the Crate. And the piercing's really nice with all these skills. I would like to mention just briefly, because I think this is an appropriate time, the 7-shot will not pierce. I've noticed that. And I used it on the... Oh, Kala.
You never know when history will be.
Hey, Kala. Okay, sorry. Kala decided to talk to me. Nice. It says pierces, but I've noticed that they won't pierce. And I think that's obviously a bug. But in some scenarios, they won't pierce. In some scenarios, I'm not sure if they pierced, but I'll have to test that out. So that's Heart Piercer. And also for brutal momentum, when you're at full endurance, increase your chance to critically strike. Again, more crits, and gain vigor when you gain fury. And finally, I'm taking Vindication. Gaining Kala's Fervor grants you might, more condition damage and flat power, and Citadel Bombardment pulls more missiles depending on how much Kala's Fervor you have. This is your F3 ability for your unique F skills, which I will be talking about soon. But actually, I think we'll just segue right into that, because those are my specialization traits that I'm taking, and those are my weapon skills and weapon sigils and runes and amulets. Moving on to the weapon skills. I won't be going over the mace and axe because those are fairly self-explanatory and you can look them up in game and if you don't know them already. But for the short bow, we have Shatter Shot, which will bleed the target and bleed 5 enemies around that target. The radius is really small. It's about 120. So they'll have to basically be stacked on top of each other, but it's really useful if it happens. It's like just a quality of life thing. Next is a Bloodbane Path. This is the skill where you fire some arrows into the mists and they'll shoot at random directions, hitting your enemy, and it will also bleed. Next is 7 Shot, which is that skill I was talking about. A really nice animation. Actually, I should be showing animations for this. That is your auto attack. Some bleeding. That is... Oh, I'm out of range. What? That is the second skill. And then this is this skill. 7 Shot. And for your fourth skill, you have Spirit Crush. It's an AoE, and it applies burning and slow. It's not an immediate AoE. It will have to... It is on like a 2-second delay, so keep that in mind when using it. Sometimes I'll use that expecting it to immediately have effect in a fight. I'm like, oh no, wait. Gotta wait 2 seconds before the portal's actually like spawn, and you're like, ugh. Okay. I just really like 7 Shot. Oh no, I think they do. They might. Hold on. We're real-time testing this. Let's see if it actually like pierces. I hope it does. I don't know. That one disappeared. I don't know. It could just be unreliable. Anyway, next we have a Scorch Razor. Very appropriate for Kala Scorch Razor. You unleash a fiery edge to ignite and knock down your enemies. This is really nice CC, and how was that out of range? I am confusion. No, but it's a really nice animation, and when it comes back on off cooldown, I will show it. And it knocks down 2 stacks of burning, fairly decent damage. And that is the short bow. Moving on to the F abilities, we have Heroic Command. This will refresh your Kala's Fervor, which you gain Kala's Fervor by just attacking and doing damage. So let's gain some stacks here. We have 5 Kala's Fervor. It's on a 7-second, 5, 4, 3, and then we'll refresh it. It goes back to 7 seconds, and we'll gain might per Kala's Fervor. And also, with the trait for Vindication, Citadel Bombardment will gain extra effects based on how many stacks of Kala's Fervor you have. So let's build up some. We'll have 5 stacks of Kala's Fervor, and we'll call down the Citadel Bombardment, and it will shoot more missiles than it would if you don't have 5 or 1 to 5 stacks of Kala's Fervor. It's a beautiful animation. I really do enjoy it. It just looks powerful, and it does a lot of condition damage if enemies are moving around and they're getting hit by a lot of the missiles. Just as a comparison, we have no Kala's Fervor, so actually, no, wrong skill. We don't have any Kala's Fervor, so let's see how many missiles will launch. Definitely not as many, and you still get quite a decent amount, but not as many. And finally, we have the F4 skill, Orders from Above. Orders from Above arrive, renewing your abilities and those of nearby allies. This is the Alacrity application. With the second wave of Elite Specs, I was wondering who was going to get Alacrity and who wasn't. It ended up on the Revenant. Once again, no longer is it just on Ventari, but it is now on Kala Scorch Razor. It does last for quite a while, and it will give you fairly decent Alacrity. And you can trade it with Righteous Rebel to gain, or to last longer and to have a bigger radius. I've actually never seen it. Just baseline. So I'm gonna swap. Oh no, I have to kill them now. Ugh. More animations. Get to enjoy the animations. So let's see what... Oh, I have to kill them. Okay, we're good. Gonna switch that over here, and we're gonna see how this affects it. So yeah, a bigger radius, and it does last longer. So you're gonna get some more support with that trait if you desire to take it. Moving on to the utility skills, we have Break Razor's Bastion. This is your heal, and with Kala, she summons members of her warband. I don't know why that's no path to target. I've noticed those errors, and it's annoying. But it's an AoE, gives you healing, and then it will heal you over time, and it will also reduce your incoming condition damage by 33%. Just like sticking with the whole condition damage theme. It's also a stun break, so if you are CC'd and you're knocked down, you can pop this just to get some more defense. Next we have Razor Claw's Rage, which will allow your allies to strike foes and gain extra hits of bleeding. So 4, 6, 8, just getting a lot more bleeding. And it's a really good skill if you want to just unleash damage with bleeding. And it goes really well with the Rune of the Crate. Once again, more bleeding. Gotta get that Rune of the Crate. Next we have Ice Razor's Ire. Summon Visk Ice Razor from the mist to magically bombard your enemies with debilitating conditions. Not deliberating. So let's see how this looks. Just throws a bunch of ice at people. And I would expect it to chill. And because it's ice, it's Ice Razor, if he chilled, it would definitely go well with the Corruption trait line, which I've also been meddling around with. And if you're just gonna go pure condition, Corruption's probably the better option. But if Ice Razor's Ire applied, instead of Cripple, it applied Chill, which I think is much more appropriate, it would work with Corruption here. Let's just switch over to Corruption real quick so I can show this off. Venom Enchantment I'll take, and then Abyssal Chill. When you chill a foe, you also inflict Torment. That would go really well with Ice Razor's Ire. Just saying, as like a recommendation, if they wanted to change Cripple to a Chill. But who am I to judge or to call the shots? And the next warband member is Dark Razor's Daring. This will just disrupt enemies in an area, dazing them. It's a really good CC, especially in PvP, if you can get a lot of people together, or enemies in an area. And finally, we have Soul Cleave's Summit. The big wombo combo allows your allies to strike enemies for extra damage, and will also siphon life from them. So you can gain double up with Assassin's Annihilation and Summit Soul Cleave, or Soul Cleave's Summit, and you'll get some nice sustain and a lot of. Really, the damage component is really strong. About 800. I'm rounding up. I know. Four below, round down, but I'm gonna round up to 800. So if you manage to get this to 800, you're doing quite a bit of damage. So that is the legendary Renegade Kala Scorch Razor. And I will now be switching over to some gameplay portion. And hopefully my gameplay doesn't suck, because I've been having some iffy games lately. But I will see you over on the gameplay portion where I will talk a little bit more about Kala there. See you, everyone. Bye. Quick shout out to Ta and Nala. Thank you so much for playing with me. It was awesome. But welcome to the gameplay portion. Yes, someone ended up recognizing me in my game with the Renegade. So it's always nice seeing you guys and getting to play with you guys. So this is a very brief fight with a ranger, I believe, and just, you know, firing at some archers. And this is Stronghold. Whatever happened to Stronghold? Well, I have Stronghold footage because I like Stronghold, but this is really just killing NPCs. I know it's not something super hardcore like actual fights, but we get to try to kill some ranger booty, trying to put as many conditions on this ranger as possible. Thankfully, he ends up going down fairly soon, and the conditions overwhelmed him. I switch over to Malix just to get some more torment and burning on him, and he was fairly close up, so my 7-shot wasn't going to be as useful as it would be at a longer range. And so I switch over to Kala once again, and then just go into town. And some of the bombers, they end up getting the gate open, which is really annoying. But I'm going to be shifting over to the next right here. right now. And I believe we are going to fight the ranger once again. I tried to pop down my totem. It's not a totem. My warband member that gives me bleeding. I forgot. I don't have their names memorized. But I popped him down. He started running away, so I didn't get as much of an effect out of that as I potentially could have. One thing that I've noticed is that once you place him down, you're just like, oh, well, I can't really move out of this area unless I want to give it up and just chase the target. So that's just one thing to be careful of. And I must admit, this game, I had a really hard time getting good Renegade footage, and this is the best Renegade footage I was able to get. But I will be making a bigger video with just a compilation of gameplay for each of the professions. So this is just like a little taste, and then we're gonna go and fight an engineer. I am going down because I want to show that I am nowhere near considered to be an expert. I don't think anybody really is. But I'm going down because it's just so new to me, so I wanted to show that. And then we shift over to the final fight, which is where you try to kill the Lord. And I felt like these were the best ones. I feel so bad that I couldn't get any more better footage, but I have some backed up footage that I'll magically edit to look like I did it amazing. But keep in mind, I'm still testing all of them out, and it is difficult at times. But this is just trying to kill the Lord. I popped down my heal just to get everyone some, or just to give everyone some more support. And then I decide to use my ultimate here to try to just get extra flat damage and also siphon health. I wasn't worried that I would end up going down, but I just wanted the comfort in knowing that I wouldn't die as quickly. And plus there was a deadeye there, and deadeyes are always really, really iffy. So that was the fight. Subscribe for more Pathfire content with the other Elite Specializations. Like the video if you liked it, and comment down below about how you have been playing the Renegade, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye everyone. Mwah.